It's commonly said that it's not polite to talk about religion and politics. They're forbidden topics at family gatherings and friendly parties. Tonight, I want to talk about religion and politics. Politics hits me as particularly relevant, not just because we're in an election season, but because of our readings today, which are full of, I think, very helpful wisdom to root us in something more. Today, the term politics is often a dirty word. It's a word that we usually use when we're angry or we're accusing someone of being political. And I have to admit, I find myself giving into that mindset from time to time. I've gotten caught up in the idea that politics is some kind of necessary evil that we have to put up with. And if that's where you are, I can understand it. But we can't stay there. We see in our gospel today the disciples searching for power. Jesus lays out the plan for his death and resurrection. This work that he's going to go about to give himself over. And they're worried about who is the greatest and who's going to rule with him. So goes the drama between serving others, which Jesus is doing by his passion, and serving ourselves, which the disciples seem to be focused on. The distinction is at the heart of a stable and fruitful political system. Are we serving ourselves, or are we serving others? Do we do what we do so that we can gain more power, or do we do what we do so that we can help more people? You know, Aristotle, a couple thousand years ago, notes that the role of the state is fostering virtue in its citizens so that people can flourish, so that the city can flourish, that the culture can flourish. And we can't give up on that idea. We can't skip over politics, and we can't ignore what's happening around us or try to cancel the other side when we disagree. We have to face what's happening and acknowledge that we have a part to play in it. And this is so crucial. I know that many people feel helpless, that they get frustrated by what they see, and they feel helpless even to the point of wondering if they should even be involved or vote. But our engagement in life, in all of life, which includes politics, is essential because we have something to offer. We have been given something that affects the entire world. We have been entrusted with something that can change the lives and hearts of countless people. And we can't sit on that. What does St. Paul say in that second reading? Where do the wars and where do the conflicts among you come from? Is it not from your passions that make war within your members? If this is where conflict and wars come from, then it's also where peace and hope come from. It's where charity and joy come from. But this only comes out of us if we've claimed what the Lord has given. If we've claimed our dignity. If we've claimed a gift of faith that helps us to hold on to something greater. Because if we live for that life that God has placed in us, then we begin to develop a culture that reflects that fact. And when that culture develops, it begins to shape everything around us. It begins to convert the hearts of the people around us. And so, if there's anything that can purify politics in the rest of our culture today, it is the culture that we build by living our faith, by sharing it with joy, by allowing it to imbue everything that we do. This is so crucial for us because we don't change culture by changing politics. We change politics by changing culture. And culture changes when we change, when we're willing to look at ourselves and recognize that maybe sometimes there is war in our hearts. That maybe sometimes we say things that we shouldn't say, that we judge things in a way that is not in accordance with the gospel. If anything is going to change in our country and in our world, it's going to be because we change. Because something is different in us. And so our faith, our engagement in the life of Christ, and our willingness to live out our identity as beloved children of God is absolutely essential to our nation, to our state, and to this local community. We are not neutral in this. This radical belonging to Christ is not meant to stay out of the public forum, because it's precisely what saves the public forum from getting into ridiculous and useless conversations that have no bearing on our lives. We are made for something greater. The questions we ask, questions like, what is valuable to me and what is truly good for me and for my neighbor, begin to become more important than questions like, how can I gain more power? How can I make more money? These questions matter, and the fact that we ask these questions matters. They matter because they determine what we consider important. And culture is shaped by how we go looking for the answers to those kinds of questions. And so if our mind is always filled with the question, how can I get a leg up on my neighbor? How can I gain more power? How can I get more for myself? That's going to shape the culture around us, because those are the answers that we're going to go looking for. But if the question in us is always, how can I help my neighbor? How can I raise up the dignity of the people around me? How can I better offer myself in service for others? If we go looking for the answers to those questions, it shapes our culture in a totally different way. And so you see how voting is the end of a very long process. There are a lot of steps that we have to take before we get to that point. We have to know ourselves and what we're pursuing. We have to form our consciences so that we can hear the Lord speaking to us. We have to live the gift of faith that we've received so that it has an impact on the culture in which we live. Then and only then do we vote. Not as an act of allegiance to a political party, but as an act that expresses what we hope for in the world. You see what happens if we don't walk that entire path? We just vote, and then we get angry because not everybody we voted for won, and they're not doing the things that we want to do. And then that's our great contribution to our country. Getting angry after we vote, and we complain all the time about people that we don't like. There is a better way to do this. Election day is not the end of our work in our country and in our culture. We have to look at ourselves and ask the questions that are springing up in us. Because our primary work is not the support of a party or a person, but belonging to Jesus Christ more than anything. Only He can save us. Only He can give us the joy and the happiness that we're searching for. And so let's ask the Lord to help us to be a gift to our community and to our nation. Not because of our belonging to a party or because of our support of a candidate, but because our lives bear witness to Jesus Christ, who rules all things in His love. Let's be a presence in this world, a presence that purifies the world, a presence that brings hope and joy into a world desperately searching for meaning.